Well, I think the Abraham Accords are of profound historic significance, and I really think that it's impossible to exaggerate the significance on a number of levels. Most importantly, of course, strategically, what this represents is it represents obviously a breakthrough for Israel, after the two initial peace agreements, historic agreements with Egypt with 1979, Jordan 1994, a long hiatus period really of actually a failed peace process in the meantime with the Palestinians. And now here we see all of a sudden, Israel breaking through into the Gulf, most importantly with the United Arab Emirates, of course, but Bahrain very important too, and obviously Sudan and Morocco also. We're already seeing the advance of economic relations, but strategically also in the cooperation against the regional ambitions of Islamic Republic of Iran, and with regard to the challenge of Sunni political Islam. Also such events as the Negev, the now ongoing Negev summit, the meeting of senior officers in Sharm el-Sheikh, obviously the kind of almost conveyor belt of senior Israeli officials, including then Prime Minister Naftali Bennett, to United Arab Emirates. These are all signs that meat is very quickly being put on the bones, so to speak, of Abraham Accords. Still just 2 years old, and we're seeing the emergence of joint economic activities, joint strategic perceptions, joint cultural activity also, all of which I think are underlain by the profoundly important fact that this is an emergent new strategic alliance, horizontal alliance, not controlled by outside powers, but rather Middle Eastern countries themselves, in which Israel is, for the first time in its history really, a profoundly important link or element of a strategic alliance consisting of the major countries of the Arabic-speaking world. The Israeli-Arab conflict is now effectively over. There's still conflict going on, but Israeli-Arab conflict is now gone. Now, of course, there's a major missing link, and that is, of course, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. But the Abraham Accords, I think, of 2020 will probably be remembered as the beginning point that will lead inevitably towards the eventual conclusion of diplomatic relations between Israel and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And that, in a way, will be the final sort of key element for a profoundly changed Middle East, in which, which is still very, very much unstable, still very much profoundly, to some degree, informed by conflict, but in which Israel will find itself as a key element of an alliance involving the key countries of the Arab world. Now, with regard to anti-Semitism, the profundity of this really cannot be exaggerated. Just 15, 20 years ago, frankly, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia specifically was one of the major world centers for the dissemination of perhaps the most potent form of anti-Semitism at that time, namely extremist Sunni political Islam. That has now changed, and Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, is very clearly somebody who has even been on record as saying that Israel is a vital, element for Saudi Arabia's future, also economic. I mean, he didn't put it in quite those words, but this was the essence of what he's saying. So the profound change that has happened is significant indeed, and I certainly consider and also hope that it will continue to develop along these lines, facing common challenges and exploring common opportunities.